From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Malacañang on Monday assured the public that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has purged the 2025 national budget of unnecessary items and aligned it with national priorities. The palace issued the statement after the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, or CBCP, criticized the budget for its supposed emphasis on financial assistance programs, which they claimed foster corruption and patronage politics, particularly in the lead-up to the midterm elections. In a statement, Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin said the President had taken significant steps to ensure the 2025 budget is free of unnecessary expenditures, having directly vetoed the largest amount of appropriations in history. Bersamin pointed out that the chief executive had redirected billions of pesos toward projects that create tangible social benefits, promote progress, and directly serve the welfare of the people. To address concerns over the release of funds, the palace official outlined that stricter conditionalities are now in place, ensuring alignment with national priorities and protection against partisan interests. Bersamin added that the government recognizes the sacrifices made by the Filipino people in financing the budget and that the implementation of the budget will honor those sacrifices. President Marcos signed the 2025 General Appropriations Act, or GAA, on December 30th, 2024 and vetoed 194 billion pesos line items he deemed inconsistent with his administration's priorities. This includes some 26 billion pesos for programs and projects of the Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, and 168 billion pesos in unprogrammed appropriations. Meanwhile, 12 programs, including the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD's Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program, or AKAP, were subjected to conditional implementation.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Monday, Malacañang said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will not intervene in the impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte amid claims that the chief executive is responsible for delays in the process. In a statement, Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin emphasized that the power to initiate and act on impeachment complaints is solely within the authority of the House of Representatives. Bersamin said the President respects the authority of Congress as a co-equal branch of government. President Marcos previously discouraged lawmakers from pursuing Duterte's impeachment, noting that it would be counterproductive and is just a waste of time. Vice President Duterte faces 3 impeachment complaints over alleged misconduct and misuse of millions of government funds when she served as Education Secretary. Lawmakers have yet to tackle these complaints just days before Congress adjourns next week before the May midterm elections.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, The Philippines Department of Agriculture or DA on Monday declared a food security emergency for rice due to an extraordinary spike in rice prices in the country. The declaration under Department Circular Number 3 came a day ahead of its original schedule on February 4th, shortly after the transmittal of the official copy of the resolution pushing for the said declaration from the National Price Coordinating Council or NPCC to the DA on January 30th. In a statement, DA Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. said the emergency declaration allows the agency to release rice buffer stocks held by the National Food Authority or NFA to stabilize prices and ensure that rice, a staple food for millions of Filipinos, remains accessible to consumers. Under the declaration, the NFA will start selling its rice stocks, even those not aging, in select Kadiwa ng Pangulo or KNP sites, to local government units or LGUs, other government agencies, and government-owned and controlled corporations or GOCCs at 36 pesos per kilogram. This will help both consumers and local farmers with the availability of cheaper rice and more palay or unhusked rice buying capacity for the country's rice buffer stock. The circular said the state of food security emergency will be in force and effective until lifted by the DA chief. The formula for determining the existence of an extraordinary price increase in retail price shall also be reviewed every 4 months. Chu Laurel said the elevated prices have been persistent despite declining global prices and tariff reduction on imported rice in July of 2024. The NPCC Resolution 1 series of 2025 likewise indicated that the prices of both regular milled and well-milled rice in December of 2024 are 19% and 20% higher, respectively, compared to the price elevation reported starting July of 2023. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA, rice inflation hit 4.2% during the said month, exceeding the 4% food inflation target of the Marcos administration, peaking even higher to 17.9% in September of 2023. In January this year, the DA set a maximum suggested retail price or MSRP for 5% broken rice to help bring down rice retail prices. Cheaper rice options are also available in Kadiwa ng Pangulo centers and kiosks under the Rice for All and 29 peso program, the Rice for All and P29 program, rolled in select public markets, Light Rail Transit or LRT, and Metro Rail Transit or MRT stations to help Filipino consumers.
Dateline Malacañang.
In a related story, the Philippines National Food Authority or NFA on Monday assured it is ready to release its rice stocks under the Food Security Emergency for Rice. In a statement, NFA Administrator Larry Lacson said, to prevent the spoilage of rice in warehouses, which are currently full, rice must be sold in order to buy fresh palay from farmers. Under the Food Security Emergency for Rice, the NFA will start selling its rice stocks, even those not aging, in select Kadiwa ng Pangulo sites to local government units, other government agencies, and government-owned and controlled corporations or GOCCs at 36 pesos per kilogram. Consumers may then access the NFA rice at a maximum price of 38 pesos per kilogram. Lacson meanwhile said they are continuously reviewing their standard operating procedures to ensure an efficient selling and buying of rice. In 2024, the NFA purchased 95% of its 300,000 metric tons target procurement, or the equivalent of 285,000 metric tons of palay or unhusked rice from local farmers under the higher pricing scheme. Earlier, the Department of Agriculture, or DA, said the NFA aims to release at least 150,000 metric tons, or around 3 million 50-kilogram bags of NFA rice nationwide, particularly in areas with high volume stocks.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Navy Forces Northern Luzon, or NFNL, on Monday said the guided missile frigate BRP Jose Rizal is keeping close watch on 3 China's People's Liberation Army Navy, or PLAN, vessels spotted off Bajo de Masinloc in the West Philippine Sea, or WPS. In a statement, NFNL said the Filipino ship was conducting regular maritime and sovereignty patrol when it monitored the presence of 3 PLAN ships in the area. This mission was ordered by the Northern Luzon Command, or NOLCOM. It added that while conducting patrols at approximately 57 nautical miles southeast of Bajo de Masinloc, BRP Jose Rizal warned off and issued consecutive radio challenges to 3 China's PLAN ships spotted in the area, including the guided missile Jiangkai-2 class frigate Dolly. NFNL said the presence of the PLAN in the area reflects the People's Republic of China's complete disregard for international law and undermines the peace and stability in the region. It added that in support of the NOLCOM's mission, the NFNL continues to stand firm to conduct lawful maritime operations, expose and challenge the illegal presence of Chinese vessels within the country's exclusive economic zone.
Dateline Malacañang.
And news from the Philippines Senate. The proposed measure to postpone the first Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM, elections has passed on third and final reading at the Senate. Senators unanimously approved Senate Bill No. 2942, which proposes to defer the first regular elections in the BARM, with 18 senators voting in favor of the measure, while Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel disapproved of the proposal. Under the bill, instead of coinciding with the midterm elections this May, the measure wants the BARM elections to be moved to October this year. Senate President Cheese Escudero earlier said the measure aims to defer the BARM elections to give them sufficient time to ascertain the security in the region. The measure also aims to give the Bangsamoro Transition Authority, or BTA, enough time to decide if they would reallocate the 7 vacated seats since the Supreme Court decided to exclude Sulu in BARM. According to Senator J.V. Ejercito, sponsor of the bill, currently there is no schedule on when the Bicameral Conference Committee will meet to reconcile the Senate's and House's version of the measure. To recall, the House of Representatives' version of the measure postpones the BARM elections by 1 year, while the Senate's version is for 5 months only.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD on Monday said the latest Pulse Asia Ulat ng Bayan survey indicating that 57% of total respondents have received much needed assistance affirms its effective service delivery. The results of the survey, conducted from November 26 to December 3, 2024, showed that of those who received assistance, 73% said easily accessed the programs and services of the DSWD. In a news release, Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao said, "This is an affirmation of the department's continuous effort making programs and services readily available and more accessible to the public." The DSWD spokesperson said the survey results will serve as a baseline to keep on improving systems and innovating approaches to make the agency's services truly responsive to the needs of the public. The social protection programs provided by the DSWD, as indicated in the Ulat ng Bayan, or in English, Report to the Nation, include the Social Pension for Indigent Senior Citizens, Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, Sustainable Livelihood Program, Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situation, and Disaster Response and Early Recovery Initiatives. Respondents of the Pulse Asia survey were equally divided from the National Capital Region or NCR, Balance Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Of those expressing easy access to the services and programs, 75% were from the Visayas and Mindanao.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippines Department of Migrant Workers or DMW on Monday joined the Ople family in commemorating the 98th birth anniversary of the late Senator Blas F. Ople at the Libingan ng mga Bayani in Taguig City. Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo J. Kakdak led the commemoration. Blas Ople is known as the father of the Philippine Labor Code and father of overseas employment, who dedicated his life to serving the Filipino workers both in the Philippines and abroad. He served as the Secretary of Labor and Employment during the administration of the late President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. In 1975, Cab Blas was elected President of the 60th General Assembly of the International Labor Organization, or ILO, the first and only Filipino to hold that post, and sooner became a recipient of a Gold Medal of Appreciation from the ILO for his contributions to social justice both in the Philippines and in the international community. Cablas is also the father of the late DMW Secretary Susan Ople, who branded the DMW as the tahanan ng OFW, a haven where every OFW feels valued, respected, and empowered.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 9.475 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.820 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.